Hi guys, welcome to the And Together podcast. Today I'm on the sofa with Lottie Moss and Mia Ellis. Do you guys just want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Hi, my name's Lottie. I'm a model and I live in London.
Hi, my name's Mia. I have my own fashion brand and I also live in London.
London friends.
London friends.
So guys, today
what we're... so long now.
I know.
So long.
How long have you
4
been
years?
friends?
Are you joking? I
Yeah,
took you like nearly on your first night out in London.
Yeah, 5 years then.
No, yeah, 5.
5 years.
And how did you guys meet?
We met through a mutual friend of ours, and then I ended up going on was it your 21st birthday? 21st birthday I went on. And we just bonded since then.
That feels like a long
we had
time
bad
ago,
luck with
21.
men, so we just kind of bonded.
Well, we actually
over.
had a relationship at the same time.
We did have a
So
relationship.
that's why
at the
we
same
didn't
time.
hang out
But they
as
were both
much,
going
but
really badly.
Yeah, so we like bonded on that and then
Toxic
we broke up at the
relationship.
same exact time.
Yeah, we got broken up with at the same time.
But so today, basically, with And Together, obviously you know about what we're trying to do, but our whole idea is to bring people together, to support them, get talking about mental health. We support 2 really nice, great charities who, with every garment sold, it funds a helpline call to people who are suffering mentally and suffering with cancer. So we're just going to chat a little bit about mental health, and I know that you guys have been going through something. Obviously everyone's been going through Corona, so how have you dealt with that firstly, and then we can move on to sort of the bigger issues.
To be honest, I think coronavirus has been like a bad and a good thing for me. This year I think I've really like realised who my friends are, who I actually really want to spend my time with, who's, you know, maybe not there for me.
Yeah.
Like, during the first sort of lockdown, I was like, the people that are calling me and checking in on me, they're my real friends. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
People who I stay in contact with. So I think, yeah, it's been a good and a bad thing, I think. A bit of both. What about you? What do you think?
I think at the start of COVID, it was a real struggle because I was going through my own personal sort of journey, and then throughout COVID, like I just kind of like found myself. I obviously started my own brand, and I was doing things for me because I didn't
kind
have
of got
to
your
like.
head down, didn't you?
Yeah, I think everyone did because like
There was
obviously
nothing else to
there's
do.
No,
was
literally.
nothing
Yeah,
open.
such like-
I went on so many walks.
It
I went
almost
on.
forced you to kind of
Nice.
take a look at yourself and think like, where am I in life? What am I doing? Where do I want to go from here? Like when everything reopens,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
life goes back to normal. Who do I want to be and where do I want to be?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw a really nice video about the whole thing when it kind of said, you know, it's given us an opportunity to actually sit down and sit back and appreciate what we have and where we want to go. And I think actually from speaking to people since I started this brand, one piece of advice that everyone's kind of said was, when I say how do you cope, it's like sometimes you just got to stop and assess what's going on. So yeah, I think that
I think it
obviously
forced everyone to actually do it because I think there was literally nothing else going
There's
on.
no
So
distractions
You have
to,
to
like,
sit
actually
there with
go
yourself.
which
and
can
your
be so
thoughts.
good and yet so bad because
Yeah.
you're literally sitting there. Like I remember
Well, I think
at
for
a time-
some people it can be really bad because being sat alone with their own thoughts is not necessarily a good thing for some people. And I think at times I was even like, oh my God, like I'm realising so much stuff about myself that I didn't know. And I'm like, oh God, I don't even want,
Yeah.
you know, because it was just like waking up every day at the same time and doing the same thing every day. And
Yeah.
I was stuck in the countryside, so I was really like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I was going to
No,
say because you were
yeah.
living in LA, but you came home for
I came home for Corona. Yeah.
Right, okay.
So I'm really glad that I did that. I have my friends and my family here. Like I was only in LA for a month, so I think it would have been
Yeah,
a
really.
struggle out there because it's so much worse out there as well.
Yeah, you're not really
So,
allowed to do anything
yeah.
out there, are you? So both of you guys moved home with your family, is that right?
Yeah.
For-
Yes.
And how was that? Because obviously you've both lived alone for quite some time now. So to
I found
go,
it so difficult.
It was hard. Like I think you still connect with your friends because you're like online and like social media and everything, but everyone's doing the same thing, so you can't really.
There was no FOMO.
Yeah,
to
there's no
it.
FOMO. Oh my
There
god, we
was
struggle
no, like-
so bad with FOMO. We're
Yeah.
always on. As soon as someone invites us out or whatever, we're like the first one there.
I know. And then when
Giving
it
it
was like
large
the
and then
virus,
just
you just
like-
saw everyone's Instagram stories and it was all just like everyone just sat at home. So you're like, okay,
That's
fine.
what made me feel great because I would like sit in my bath on a Saturday
Yeah.
night and I'd be like, oh my god, this is what I've wanted to do for so long.
Yeah.
And I don't feel bad
But
about
without
it.
the pressures of being like everyone else is out, I should be doing this, and feeling that sort of mental strain, which I think comes with the fact that me and Mia
Yeah.
both have ADHD.
Yeah.
And I think that it's very difficult for people with ADHD to not be the life of the party and
Yeah.
kind of be the centre of attention
Yeah.
and be there for everyone. Like I always feel guilty not going to things and not attending things and not being there for my friends, even if I'm not feeling great. I still show up to things because I'm like, oh my God, you know, I panicked. You know what I mean? That it's going to be,
I literally had like a friend's birthday last night and I'd been out the night before and I was like, oh God, this is probably the worst thing I've done.
Yeah, you didn't want to go.
Didn't want to go in the taxi, and then as soon as I got there,
I turned
to like this like entertainer.
It's weird though,
it's
you
like,
switch on this weird thing inside you that it's just like,
it just comes out of you, like you can't help it. Like you want to be so like chill and just sit there and just not react to anything, but
you also want to entertain everyone, which is a really
you want everyone to
thing.
have a really good time, and like obviously everyone looks like, maybe if they're not talking or something like that, you think, oh my God, are they having a really good time or not? But they're actually having a really great time, but they don't need to like talk or
they don't need to literally be, you know, hyperactive all the time, which we do,
where we always need to like say something or like
like fill in the space.
And to make people feel like at home, if you know what I mean, like to make people feel like comfortable.
So obviously both of you got diagnosed with ADHD in the summer. So this is a real recent
at the same
thing.
time almost. Mia called me and she was like, oh, I've been diagnosed with ADHD, and I was like, really? And then she was like, I think you have it. And then I got diagnosed
You
with
actually
it.
asked me, she was like, what is ADHD? And I was like, everyone, well, I mean, I asked the same question to like my doctor and everything because I just didn't know what it was. And it's so hard to explain. But when you speak to people with ADHD, you really just connect, and we just like,
because to me, obviously sitting here today, it's like, you know, we all have that part of us that wants to go out and be the life and soul. But I guess when I sit here and listen, sometimes I think, oh, like, it's hard to understand what ADHD is when you don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's, you know, everyone says, oh, he's got ADHD because they're a bit hyper, you know?
Yeah.
But actually to be diagnosed with it, like, how did that feel? And like, what do you know now about ADHD that you didn't know before?
I know that it's so many more things than just being hyperactive. And I think everyone kind of puts you in a little bit of a box when you say that you have ADHD.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's actually so much more than just being hyperactive or just this. It messes with your emotions. Your emotions are heightened. It messes with so many different parts of the brain because it's actually... And I read this recently that it's actually a brain disorder. So our brains are completely different wired to like normal person's brain.
Which is crazy.
It's crazy. Like in the 50s, they thought it was a brain disorder. Like they thought you were disabled if you had ADHD because it was just your brain was not the same, and they couldn't understand why it didn't like wire
function.
Yeah.
There's a part in your front of the brain which isn't connected like other people's, and that connection of stimulate
So it's like you can't go from A to B to C like normal people.
Yeah.
Because we don't understand how to get from A to C. We can't do
we
the whole
get from
B in the
A,
middle.
then we get to B, and then we like
kind
back
of,
it up to A, and then we feel like a bit
like
you feel guilty, and we become a failure, and it's all this like horrible.
You put yourself down. That brings on the depression side,
and anxiety.
Which it actually isn't depression. It's all to do with ADHD.
And it's not anxiety. It's actually ADHD, which is so strange. And so many people go misdiagnosed with
well, it's
ADHD.
When my doctor diagnosed me, he said you might have struggled when you were younger with like anger issues. Your parents might have thought you had bipolar, where you like go up and down, like your highs are so high, but then the next day you could be crying in bed all day. Like it's so it's so hard to explain, but I'm so happy that it's in a good. And
I'm happy that we can bring light to it.
Exactly.
Actually,
that's all I want to do.
Hopefully, the
really,
people that are listening to this can actually maybe think maybe I have ADHD, or it's shed a bit of light to the actual diagnosis of it.
Both of you got diagnosed quite late in life. You're 23.
But you know what? Not even. There's people that have been diagnosed at like in their 40s and 50s. And I know.
But that's crazy to think like for me to live with that for so long, like to 23, 24. It must be.
We thought we were different. We always knew that we were different, but. We always thought whenever we were
very similar. We were always like wild and crazy.
When we used to hang out, it's like also when we hang out, like it's the same thing. Like it's like you just go wild. You're like, woo, let's have a good time. But then the next day, it's like you call up and you're like, how you feeling? And you're like, just
on the floor.
Same. But then everyone else at the party that were just doing, you thought were doing the same thing. They're feeling great. They're positive. They had a really good night. They think, oh wow, I didn't do anything stupid. Like we really think, wow, oh my god, that. We didn't do.
I think as well because I'm such a chatterbox.
Yeah.
You're not as bad as me, but I am such a chatterbox, which comes from like my ADHD, and it's like I can just talk and talk and talk and talk, and I forget that there's other people like in the conversation.
Yeah.
And that's another thing with ADHD. You just kind of forget that like everything doesn't really revolve around you.
Yeah.
And it's
Even
like,
now, you're both talking, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
I actually thought mine was
It's quite like a.
it's very intense. Both.
Yeah,
of us
like
being
I
together
feel
when we say
like
this.
my heart is
do.
going.
We
'cause
actually
it's-
hang around with
We're getting our energy.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go. I have to lay down after this.
But then we panic about that because we think, oh my god, am I being too much? Like in my
Yeah.
head, I'm like,
Am I
oh my
being
god, this
too loud?
person
Am I
sat in
being
front
too
of me
this?
is like, she thinks I'm a nutter, and then you're like, oh my god, but when you've got really, really good support system like your friends and family that some people may not have, we actually want and together to kind of be a place where if someone needs to talk about that or if they think they've got this, then we can help them and we can maybe
It's
like
like, I think
obviously-
a lot of people are so unhappy and so, you know, and have all these things. Maybe they have depression or anxiety or ADHD or, you know, anything else that's to do with mental illness, and they actually just don't really want to go to a doctor or something because they're embarrassed. It's just like, please, 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 if I can say anything, let's just go and just get diagnosed.
Because that was
Because
like.
it will save you so much trouble in the future, and you won't sit there at 40 and 50 and think, I could have accomplished this, but my brain held me back for so long.
I think that was it. It was when I was starting my brand. I've been trying to start it for like a year and a half, and obviously COVID, like I had some time to think, and I was like, do you know what, I'm going to push myself and do it. And I obviously got onto medication in the end because I thought it was that much of a struggle that I couldn't actually get up in the morning and actually do my daily tasks. And it was like I wanted to do it so bad, and I had so many, because we are creatives, like and it isn't just for creative people, but if you are a creative and you have so many ideas like running through your head all morning, all day or whatever, and you can't get them down on paper because you can't sit there and focus and concentrate, it's so frustrating.
Because you're like, I have so much to give, but I don't have a way to give it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So both of you are on medication right now. And I know personally from speaking to Mia, like I think that was one thing, like you're almost embarrassed to tell me about that. And I think, is that how you felt as well? Like why do you feel that way, sort of thing?
I told everyone. I was
you were a blogger.
By
the way, guys,
by the way, that's my ADHD. I'm on meds. You know, I literally told everyone. It was like a new, like, fun thing for me. I was like, yeah, guys.
No, it's because you feel happy because you're like, I'm not cured.
Do you use it as an excuse for stuff? Because I do.
Oh god, I don't even know what.
Like, sorry, I was late today. It was my ADHD.
Yeah, no, of course, because you're not on. Do you know what it is? I'm so happy with my medication. Obviously, you can't think of medication as being like a laughing matter because it isn't. It's so serious, and you do have to be diagnosed by a doctor. It's not like you can lie about these things. You have to like go and have a test. Like there's many tests that you have to go through, and they will know as soon as they speak to you. On ours, it was Skype because of COVID, obviously, but maybe like in the future, if you are looking to get. Like,
well, doctors are taking appointments now. You can go.
But what was it that made you get to the point? Like, you know, you must have got to a point where things were so bad. Like, what was the point in your life? What made you think?
Well, I think it was actually the whole thing that we were in
at the
lockdown.
same time.
So I think because we were both in lockdown. So I think we just kind of had a minute to sit there and go like, why isn't everything going the way that like I'd hoped it would have gone at this age? Like I thought I could have completed that. And then I kind of thought, and then when Mia said all of these things about ADHD, I was like, oh my god, that sounds exactly like me. And lo and behold, I went to go and see a doctor, obviously like COVID safely. And she was like, within 10 minutes, she was like, ADHD, 100%, I can tell you that now.
And that's what's...
Which is mad to think that you just, you know, you heard it from Mia, someone might be listening today that thinks, oh my God, and it's a big life change because suddenly you go from just being a bit hyperactive and not really coping and not really know what's going on to, you know, I do have ADHD, it is a mental health disorder. Like there is something medically that is not wrong with me, not just I'm a failure. And
it's a very difficult thing because it's not something that can be cured as such. To do with, you know, some mental illnesses you can sort of cure them a little bit or you can control them. The thing is with ADHD is even with the medication it doesn't control it and it will never cure it. So it is one of those things that you think it's a big life change because you think this is me for the rest of my life now.
But it's been you for your whole life.
It's been us for our whole life.
Yeah.
It's nice now to know that we actually have.
That it was like something like in us that was different, but we never thought it was an actual
Do you
mental
prefer
illness.
it now that you know?
Yes and no. I feel like when I was younger, also it can develop where you don't have it when you're younger, and you also can get it in adulthood.
Yeah.
Because
or it can be less, and then it gets worse.
Right.
Yes. But in school, obviously they diagnosed me with dyslexia and I had severe dyslexia, and that's what my parents got mixed up with the two. They always knew that there was obviously in their day and age like mental health and everything wasn't like
but it's
as
strange because
big.
you would have been born with ADHD
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's to do with your brain.
Yeah.
It's not something that happens.
No.
It is always there. But it must have been, for some people it is lesser when you're younger. Because when I was younger, there was nothing wrong with me. I was never tested for anything like that. I wasn't super hyperactive or anything.
Yeah.
But now it's just gotten worse and worse and worse throughout my years. And I think, you know, working and stress and things like that also contributes to maybe making it worse.
Yeah. And I do think that now, even going back 10, 15 years, mental health wasn't, you know, at the crux of life. Yeah. Whereas now I think more and more people, like, this is what I love so much, is that it's not just, you know, sometimes I think mental health is kind of seen as girls and they've had a bad breakup and they're, I'm so depressed.
That's what we actually thought it was.
Well, I think also people throw it around a lot. They go, I'm so depressed. I have such bad anxiety. And I'm like, but you probably don't.
No,
like,
you're just having a bad day.
Having a bad day. Or
Yeah.
you're having like a bit of like a, you know, freak out or something.
Yeah.
That's not anxiety, and that's not. And I see so many people do it, and like it was so funny the other day. I said to someone, I've got ADHD, and they went, I've got dyslexia, so I get it. And I went, that's literally nothing to do with each other. Like,
try having both ADD, bipolar, ADHD, dyslexia.
Do you know what I mean? So it is funny because I think it is something that people don't know about, and this is why I think I wanted to talk about it a little bit more on this podcast than maybe other mental health issues, probably just because it's not been brought to light at all. No one speaks about it, and it's so serious. People.
Yeah, I even mentioned, I know Mia said to me earlier, because when I approached her and said, would you be interested in coming on and doing a podcast? She was like, me and Lottie have been talking about it for ages. We really want to do it. And she said, oh yeah, because not many people talk about it. You know, Justin Timberlake has it. And I was like, what? I didn't even know that. Like, I actually don't know anyone who has ADHD.
There's a lot of actually, it's like I said, I think it's something like 60% of like all the CEOs in the world have ADHD.
That's
How
crazy.
weird is that?
Yeah, because they have so many ideas.
Because you're very intelligent, you have so many ideas, and once you find a way with ADHD, because you can tame it, and you can find a way to put it to good use.
Yeah.
But it is very difficult.
I think it's a positive. I think we've got to turn it into a positive. I think at the start we were kind of like, we were actually excited because we were like, oh my God, like this is mad. Like we've figured out why we're so like this.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we're twins.
ADHD twins.
But if you have someone like us two that can speak about it, I don't know how it would have felt if I couldn't speak to someone about it.
I guess this is a thing, isn't it? Like
I'm
you
so
guys.
lucky that I have you about
I know.
honestly,
Yeah.
When we're together, we always just talk about it and we freak out together. But
you know what? It's so nice because you have your friends.
Together.
No, you have your friends, and then you speak about that. Like you disguise that side, but at least you have someone. And some people don't have someone, and like we're willing to talk to people and like maybe do another one in a couple of months or whatever. Just to
maybe
say,
we can get
like,
some questions in.
If people want to come in, I'd love
to do that.
meet people with it and how they've coped, because we're still learning. We're not cured. No one's ever going to be cured, but we both tag each other on Instagram, like people with it, and like it's just funny. Like we like follow memes, and the memes are so true. And we're like, there's a little community now of like ADHDers. And
but I love that there's like somewhere to go. Like this is like with And Together, that's our main like concept. And when we started this, is that it's like giving people somewhere to go where they can just be like safe space, you know, and talk about it
and meet other people as well.
Yeah,
with,
like
sort of
people.
That, you know, you can sit there and go, I understand what you're saying, because I'm the exact same.
Exactly.
So I think so many people that I talk to about my ADHD, they go, well, that's not ADHD, that's nothing to do with that. That's actually, I'm like, you're not a doctor, first of all, you don't know. And stop trying to make me feel like this is some sort of like, you know, silly little
attention
thing.
seeking.
Do you know what I mean? Attention seeking. It's like people that go, oh, you don't have depression because you're happy today. It's like, I know so many people that are on antidepressants like throughout their whole lives that have depression and live with that. Just because they're happy one day doesn't mean they're not depressed.
Yeah, and good they're happy one day. We should encourage that.
And good, do you know what I mean? You should be like, well, you know, you're not. And that's the thing, I'm like, with me, I'm so glad they have someone that we can say it to each other, and we're like, oh, I had that today as well. You know, I felt like that as well.
And also
makes you feel like not a freak.
When we,
so it's like a support bubble.
Yeah, I'm always like, obviously we have different friends and stuff, but like whenever we've been on a night out, we also like check in, like, how you doing this week? Like, just to be like, just so you've got someone there, and like And Together can be that sort of thing for someone, because if you're feeling like this, then like get in touch.
Because I think a lot of people don't want to talk to their friends as well, so they'd like rather talk to someone maybe that understands but isn't a person that's gonna, you know.
And I will say as well is you might not have the hyperactive side because that's ADHD. attention deficit hyperactive disorder, or you have ADD, which is attention deficit disorder, which is the focus, and unfortunately me and Lottie have both. So yeah,
double whammy.
Both, but
Double
you might
whammy.
also be
Yeah,
not.
God really gave me that. He went, work with it. Yeah, he really said work
But
with
do you
that
know
one.
what? It's really funny because you probably guys, I know from speaking to you personally, like sometimes you're like, oh, I feel like such a failure. And actually, like to somebody else, you know, I mean, Lottie, you've got a massive following on Instagram. So people probably look at you and think, how can she be suffering when actually
She looks like
behind
she
the
look
camera,
Yeah, but you
you're
make your
going
Instagram
through...
a safe space. You're not one
Yeah,
of those that
but
has
even like with...
everything together.
Looks
because
perfect,
it's
and it's all-
why
yeah.
be like that? Why try and make something? This is why
I
I
put
don't
up
have.
things of me like crying and stuff sometimes because I'm just like, I think people need to see that
Yeah.
side. Like I put up a post the other day of me like crying at film, and I was like, it's okay to just like let your emotions out sometimes
Yeah.
and just like not be doing great. It's fine to not.
But
be
it's so
doing
funny
great.
because people they're like, oh my god, are you okay? But
Yeah.
And you're actually like the next day, you're like, yeah, actually, I was actually fine.
I was
This
actually
time I was
fine,
actually
yeah.
okay. But when I post a picture of me in a fucking bikini, that's when I'm bad.
Oh my...
You know what? My best
that's when you
pictures.
need to worry.
My best pictures where I'm smiling and it's all great. Honestly, that.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my...
That
Mia.
is so much.
Mia shouts so loudly, I can't even hear it.
Sorry, I just get a bit excited.
I'm like, Mia, I can't
know she
even...
is.
It is. We do me and her together when it's just me and her.
Honestly, I like... I feel like
I don't. You wouldn't.
I'm going to
even
have to go and lock myself in a room and
We
like
sit there
hide.
oh my god, Alice.
Because I feel like we can be comfortable with each other with it because
Yeah,
it's so
exactly.
nice. Like sometimes I always
It's
have to
hard
apology.
holding back as well from
Yeah.
everyone. And so
I
it's
have to
like-
say sorry to my friends sometimes all the time. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
God, I'm
same.
so sorry. I was like
So
so
loud.
loud. Like, oh, I've done some
I'm
crazy
talking
things.
so
but
much. Yeah.
It's actually something inside me that we end up doing it.
I
We
mean,
don't
the
really
amount
want
of
to be
things
there.
that I've told people, just rambled on at them, just told them my whole life story.
And they're
Like, so
like...
basically, my cat
And it's
died.
like, it's like
And
where I
then
found it,
this
so you're like,
happened
you're
and-
pulling it back in because you're like, oh my God, why did I even say
Yeah.
my whole life story to that random person last night? And then you
I
feel
mean,
like
we've all
really-
done that in a toilet before.
Oh, we've all done that in the girls' toilets
I know,
when you
yeah.
sit down. Babe, love your bronzer.
Yeah.
Let's register together.
So like since you've been diagnosed with ADHD, so you was, you know, really going through it, having a really bad time, got this diagnosis, how do you, obviously you don't cope with it because there's still, it's hard, but how are you
Still learning to cope with it, I think, and it's like also being young and having like the normal like troubles of being young along with COVID and everything else that's going on in the world. It's like it is such a bit of a crap time anyway, period. And I think it's just like learning to cope with that on top of everything else.
Yeah.
It's like a very difficult thing. But
Have you got like,
I definitely haven't nailed it. And I don't think Mia
No.
has either.
Oh,
None
no.
of us have nailed it. We
Like,
is there
we
one,
do-
is there like one thing, like if you could say one thing each, which you've learned with how to keep it under control, how to cope with living with ADHD, just one thing each that you've learned?
Structure, I would say, is probably, and now I know that I have it, I kind of really do push myself with like, obviously, starting your own brand, there's so much to organise, and don't get me wrong, like, it's taken me a lot longer than a normal person would because I can't focus, but what I've realised is if I have to do a certain thing in a day, then don't add anything else to it. That is, if as long as I tick that one thing off, I can be proud of that. When I like put on a list like 10 other things and then I don't get that done because I'm thinking about that, I won't actually like succeed.
Yeah.
I just need to take it step by step. So just structure and just don't give yourself too much pressure.
Yeah, don't give yourself too much of a hard time. I think
No.
it's a massive one. I think, you know, it's hard as well, this whole situation and having ADHD and stuff. So I always just like wake up every day and, you know, if things don't happen or if things fall apart or if something bad happens in my like love life or something, I just think just calm down, like it's fine. Like it's just sort of learning to just sort of take a step back and just be like, breathe, it's
Yeah.
gonna be fine, it's not the end of the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
You know, it's all those things.
I think also with relationships, we're both obviously single as well. I think that also adds. I know this
Lottie's
is not
like,
Shocking,
thanks,
I know.
thanks for highlighting that to everyone.
do.
Lottie's single.
I'm
If you want her
single.
number, DM her together.
Honestly.
I think we'll just start dating each other soon.
We
God.
want to get each other. So
Imagine that
at this
relationship.
point-
You wouldn't get a word in edgeways.
No one would want to come over for dinner to
No.
see us because of you.
I'll be turning
Hey,
that
guys.
down for definite.
Seriously.
No, but is there ever a time in your life, not just, you know, with ADHD, where you've really, you know, you've felt like you really needed the support of somebody, and how did you get that support?
Well, I think just me and you. I
Us
think
too,
that's
honestly.
just been the best thing ever, and I think I I can't believe how it worked out so perfectly, because I don't know how I would have dealt with it like otherwise. So I still don't know everything there is to know about ADHD. I'm reading a book at the moment about it. It's about like how women, I can't remember the name of it, but it's about
on that book.
Yeah. She's only read page 1.
And I'm like, no, but it's very interesting to me, and I do want to learn more about it. And that was why I was a bit scared to sort of do a video and make a podcast about talking about ADHD, because I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
Just want to put that out there. I can't say, you know, everything is right and whatever I'm saying is, you know, this is just how we're feeling with it, and this is what we've learned so far about it.
Yeah.
But I really am, you know, I really want to learn more about.
I think a key, I think a key thing with every mental health issue, whether it's anxiety or depression or ADHD or, you know, even down to postnatal depression, we need to educate ourselves whether we have it or not. Like for me, I know since speaking with you guys today, like I want to go away and educate myself, because you're sort of speaking to me and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's information overload. And I think that not enough people talk about it. And like that is a massive thing. Like when I feel down, I just want to talk. Like I could talk for days.
Same. But I think that's a female thing as well. We like to talk about things.
Yeah.
I think because we're women, we actually found out that we had ADHD pretty much sooner than most men would. Maybe actually if they didn't have hyperactive. Yeah. But I think a lot of men live with, and I think it's so sad that so many men live with, you know, mental health problems, but they don't really want to confront it. Yeah. Because they're scared it's going to make them look like less of a man and things like that. Women are we're just emotional. We just let it all out with each other, and we're fine with that. But we normally have a good sort of support group with women. But men are very much like, they have to be the tough ones. They have to be the providers. They don't want to ever be seen to be weak. And I think it needs to be like made more.
And a lot of men have
people need to be aware of
that it's okay to not be okay,
because it's so sad that people don't get it.
Yeah, I think it's really mad to me that, you know, you learn these things in school, but no one ever talks in school about mental health, really. Like I think now it's coming to light more, which is really great, and I think that's why doing things like this is really important, and you get it out there and you can say, you know, you guys sitting here on the sofa, obviously Lottie is a world-renowned model, but I would say, like, going back to that point, is that, you know, it can affect everyone, up from Mia, you would just say, you know, you're a normal person getting on with your day-to-day life, up to you being a model and doing this. It's not whether you're just any person, it can affect, and I think that's
it's
important.
Just in a friendship group as well. I think if your friends, learn more about your friends, learn more about their, you know, mental health problems and stuff. Try and educate yourself, even if it's just Googling it. Yeah. And just having a little read for 10 minutes on like a Wikipedia page or something. Just to sort of understand a bit more about the person that you're friends with. Because there's certain things that we do that frustrate people. And it's annoying because as much as you don't want to use it as an excuse.
Friends, you lose family. Like,
you lose jobs. Yeah, because
also,
you can't concentrate. But it's so sad because we do mean well, and it's not that we don't mean well, and you know, when we're late to things or when we're
a lot of people,
it's the thing is we just aren't. It's like certain things I say to my friends and then they go, oh, you were so abrupt with that. And I'm like, I really didn't see it like that.
Yeah.
It's just not the way that my brain is, you know, wired. But if they knew that, they'd go, oh, okay, she's just being like that.
That's okay.
I need to just work around it and tell her and remind her and go, you know, you're an idiot. And then it's like, it's fine, but it's, you know, it does cause a lot of problems.
Some people don't have them sort of friends that are supportive and don't understand, like,
well, people without mental health problems don't really get it.
Yeah, I'm so thankful for some of my friends that really, like, calm me down. Like, there's a girl I work with who's like basically starting my brand, but she's my consultant, so she sorts out all the numbers and whatever, and she just makes me feel like normal, but she doesn't have a clue what is going on, but she like really calms me down. She really like takes me through it. She's not like, oh god, you're nuts or whatever. She's just, and that's what we need people to just understand. And I know there's a lot of other people out there that haven't discovered if they've got ADHD or ADD, and maybe they're young and they haven't discovered it. But I think that parents need to really educate themselves. There's like YouTube clips that are really easy and simple, just to basically 5 steps on like what's going on in an ADHD brain or ADD brain, and it's like,
and you can learn so much from that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think education is
I just think it does need to be talked about a lot more.
I think all mental health needs to be talked about a bit more, and not be such a sort of taboo.
And just be like
just
normal.
You know how people kind of step around it if they're like, you know, if someone says, oh, I take antidepressants, and everyone goes, oh, God.
Oh yeah, everyone
She
in the
must
room.
be, you know, really like
Crazy.
suicidal and
Yeah.
all of this. And it's like, not all people that are, you know, have depression are suicidal. And
Yeah.
I think it's just something that is, you know, in their DNA and it's in their
It's a
body.
disease.
It's a disease.
It's an
you know,
imbalance. It's an imbalance of like.
It's an imbalance in your hormones and everything like that. So it's just
and your
like,
brain, and I just feel like it's like really like it's not a negative.
but having great friends that you can just talk to about it openly and that don't judge you, that's
Yeah.
just the best.
No,
That
I
is
know.
all you need.
Yeah.
It's good family and good friends around you, a good person around you who you can just speak to about it openly. And
Yeah.
all it is speaking about it, really is.
Definitely.
Yeah, and just kind of like maybe you don't know if you've got it yourself, but if you know someone that's been acting like this certain way, might be up and down, really high highs, really low lows,
Yeah,
and then
so
they're
true.
just like super hyperactive, or they're not, they're like, they just like can't focus, or they try and get things done and then they feel really guilty about not getting it done, then definitely maybe like let them speak to Anne together, or
See,
step forward and maybe just say maybe you do have ADHD, maybe
Yeah.
you
And you
should
need
look
to
at
see a
YouTube
doctor.
channel.
Yeah.
Not even a doctor. Like I sometimes think
going straight there can have an
I
adverse
feel like
effect.
maybe just talk about it first, look into things, read
Yeah.
about it, go
Yeah.
on
You know,
YouTube.
speak to you guys and
Yeah.
maybe just like call, you know, call
Yeah.
hotlines and things like that. and
Just
sort of
say
figure it
That's why I
out.
think
Yeah.
these helplines are such a good, they do so much good, because sometimes, like you said, you don't want to talk to your friends, or it can feel a little bit embarrassing to have, especially I can imagine for a man. I know that
Not knowing yourself, it's a very
Yeah.
embarrassing
Yeah.
thing. Not understanding
Yeah.
yourself.
No,
It's
definitely.
like,
and I definitely think it's you just got to talk.
yeah.
And a couple of things that you've mentioned is like, one of the things is, by this age I thought I would be somewhere else, and it's really funny because everyone I speak to, that is like one of the key things.
Yeah.
And I think it's so crazy. Like, I mean, I am my worst enemy. I'm like, by 23 I thought I was going to be married and I have this like child and I'm not with his dad, and I was like, oh my god, I thought I was going to have the dog and the horse and the perfect family.
Yeah.
And I beat myself up. And I think, you know, you said
I mean,
at 23
you're basically there, I'm not
oh, I'm literally not. And every day I beat myself up, and then I think, oh, like, I look at other people. And where did you think you would be at 23? And
I mean, do you know what? I put so much pressure on myself. But someone spoke to me the other day and they just said, you've lived such a life. I've been working since I was 13. And like, this year for me has been the first year that I haven't worked since I was 13.
Wow.
So, I mean, I worked throughout school. I had to leave school because I had to work and things like that. So now I'm like, do you know what? Yeah, I've been a bit, you know, crazy this year and I've kind of like slacked off a bit. But I'm like, do you know what? I kind of deserve, I need a sabbatical.
Yeah,
Do you
need
know what
it.
I mean?
Yeah.
I need a break.
You're also
And with-
transitioning,
And
like
I
you're
put
finding
so
yourself.
much pressure on myself because I started off doing things like Vogue and Chanel
Yeah.
and all of these things, and then now when it stopped a little bit, I'm like, oh my god, obviously because nothing's going
Yeah.
on. I'm like, oh my god, but I need to not panic and realize that I've made a lot of money and I've worked really hard in the last sort of 7-8 years, and it's hard to start working as a child. I was literally a child.
Yeah.
While everyone else was, you know, going out to parties and all these things, I was in Japan and
I
in
remember
New
you were
York.
18.
do you kind of
working.
feel like you missed out in some ways? Like, obviously you've lived a
little
great...
bit, yeah, I do think that maybe like everyone else is kind of getting their, you know, stuff.
Everyone was
together
coming
now.
home, logging into MSN and got to go, and you're
No,
in
you
Japan.
definitely
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't that early on. I mean, it was more like BBM. But it
You
was,
weren't pinging anyone.
It was like, when you was 18 and everyone had just moved down to London
17,
and you were
18.
flying off
Yeah,
everywhere.
and I kind of wanted to just be around my
Yeah.
friends and have a fun time.
Yeah.
And now everyone's grown up a bit. Everyone else is willing to work and get going. And I'm
Yeah.
kind of just like, I just actually want a break.
Yeah.
I just want to have fun. And it does make you feel guilty when you're like, why, you know, should I be feeling this way? Why am I not, you know, accomplishing things? I see people like Mia and you doing things, and it's like, oh my god, I'm not doing enough. But
And yet you've
Don't
accomplished
ever think
so
that.
much.
I spoke to my mum and she said, God, you've worked for so long,
Yeah.
been going flying everywhere. You deserve a bit of a break.
Because some
Have
people
fun."
would, it's funny to sit here with you, because, you know, I was probably one of the girls when we were younger and you were doing this, and I would look at your life and think, oh my God, I wish I had that life. And so many people listening will probably think, oh God, like, you know,
Don't believe everything you see,
yeah,
trust
she
me.
lived this great life. And it's quite crazy for me to hear you, you know, you were just a kid and you did have these things that you missed out on, but obviously you did get to have these experiences. But do you think that the pressure, obviously Kate is your sister and that is living up to that, do you think that
I think
made you?
genuinely, like, it worsened my mental health being in the modelling industry.
Yeah.
That's nothing to do with my agents not doing a good job or anything. Like, I love my agency and I love my agents. There is certain people in the industry that maybe contributed, and also being away for so long, I would have like panic attacks by myself in like hotel rooms.
Yeah, because it's quite young to be traveling like all the way to Japan.
And I would travel as well with just an agent who at that time I didn't really know.
Yeah.
And it would be agents from like different agencies all over the world that I'd never even spoken to, that were like 35 years old and I was like 17.
Yeah.
Having to go to events with all these 35-year-olds and be happy and smiley and amazing when I really just felt like crap, and I just wanted to be at home with my friends and my boyfriend at the time and things like that. And
do you feel like you kind of had two personas, Lottie Moss, the model?
One thing I'm going to say is, if you're thinking about being a model, going into that industry, make sure you have a tough skin, you know, a thick skin, because it is a very, very, very difficult industry. People look at that life and they look at that job and they think, oh, it looks so fun and glamorous. So trust me, waking up at 5 a.m, having to fly from here to there. Like, I once was in New York for I think 3 hours.
Wow.
And then I got on another flight back from New York to London, and I travelled again like the next day. So trust me, it's not as glamorous as it looks.
Yeah.
People aren't that nice in certain industries and things like that. And you have to remember that every job has its like downfalls. Yeah.
I can imagine it's quite a lot of dealing with the pressure of, you know, getting your next job and looking good at all the times and being happy and being because being a well-liked model is it's not just about being a model. You want to be someone that...
because I was always trying to be nice and happy and smiley, and that's, my agents would be like, you know, you go out there and do that, whatever. We don't really care. It's not really, they don't really care. It's kind of like, you just go out there and you're happy and you do that, and then you kind of go out there, the client's there, and you're trying to please everyone, and you're trying to please your agent, you're trying to please the client, you're trying to, you know, there's a lot of money at stake. Sometimes there were like hundreds of thousands of pounds at stake, and I was thinking, oh, I've got so much pressure on myself. And I used to sit there in hotel rooms, and I would just sit there and have panic attacks by myself, and I would just cry my eyes out. I was like, I'm so unhappy. But then there were other times where I had an amazing time, and I was in great countries with really cool people. But it is a very, very tough industry, and like, that is massively, I don't think that I would have half as many, obviously I would still have ADHD, but probably not as bad as it is now.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'd have, half as many mental problems if I had a normal job.
And how did you cope? Like you say, you know, you'd sit there and have panic attacks. For people out there that maybe have panic attacks, or for people that feel really under pressure, not just being a model, because I know you can work anywhere and feel the pressure. How did you cope with the pressure, and what did you do? Say you were having a panic attack, what would you do to bring yourself out?
I learned with panic attacks that it's all about just like, I actually got to this place because I kind of could tell when they were coming on after a while. Like, you kind of remember that feeling, and it's like kind of everything else just kind of blacks out, and you feel like you're about to pass out, and you like everything goes a bit blurry and stuff. So I'd always just go, it's a panic attack. Because the first time I had it, I thought I was having a heart attack. I was like, oh my God, this is it.
And your head feels like spinning.
Yeah, your head feels like spinning, and I was like, oh my God, my heart started being really fast. I could hear it, and I was like, oh my God, what's going on? But after that, I was like, oh, it's a panic attack. And I managed to learn in my brain just to go, just calm down. It's not going to be that big of a deal. It's just a panic attack. You're not dying. Nothing's happening. You're in a hotel room. You're safe. You're here. You're safe. You're with other people. Because I have it with people sometimes. I think, I'm here. I'm grounded. One thing that's really good to do is actually like name 5 things you can hear, smell, and something else. Yeah. So just like look at things and just go, right, there's that over there. There's that over there. I'm sitting on the sofa. I'm with this person and this person. Just kind of like bring yourself back to reality.
Into the room.
Yeah, bring yourself back into the room.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. I actually do that. I always get these weird panic attacks, and it is like to remind us, it's so crazy how it's in your brain.
It's really
like
weird.
And when you bring yourself back, you're like, how's my brain done that? And you kind of feel a bit like, you're my brain. Why are you doing this to me? Like, why
I'm betrayed? I'm having a good time. And it comes at sometimes when you're like having the best time, and suddenly you're like, and then you're like, why am I doing this? I'm not even panicked. I'm not stressed. Like, I'm having a great time. Why is this coming? But it is just your brain sometimes just plays tricks on you.
So I was looking, I can't even remember what celebrity it was the other day, and I saw like someone commented, you should go kill yourself, or you should go and die. And I thought, oh my God, like people actually write that. But to be on the receiving end of that, it must be really difficult to deal with.
I don't find it difficult. Do you know what I've learned? And maybe it's because I've had a sister who was in the public eye who has received a lot of abuse for some stories and things that she's done. And but then there wasn't actually social media, so it was more just like the Daily Mail comments and things like that. But now there's sort of social media and stuff, I don't get a lot of hate. And
They're just so well liked.
I don't know what it is. Like,
Imagine after this, you start getting.
I'm quite problematic, so I don't really get why no one like says anything. But on my Instagram, it was like, "You're so pretty, she's so gorgeous," and I'm like, "What?" Everyone else's is like, "You're a fat bitch." I'm like, "What? Why am
You're like, I must be doing
and it's
something
like
right.
Someone that is like actually like, far prettier than me. I'm like, "What?"
Don't speak too soon.
No, but
Yeah, don't speak too soon.
no. But do you know what
Don't come at her
it?
now.
Do you know what it is? Is I think I look at those comments, and when I do see them, because I get a lot of them in the Daily Mail, like the Mail Online and stuff, and I read the comments sometimes. They don't get to me anymore because I've had this for years. I've had these articles happen for years, and I look at them and I think, you've had to go on the Daily Mail, make yourself an account, and then sit there
And comment
on other people's lives. What is wrong with you? Like, there's something seriously wrong with you, babe.
Yeah.
Like, if you think there's something wrong with me, no way. Like, and I just look at them and I think, who cares? You're probably some 40-year-old sat in your basement with a sad life, never made anything for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you're probably, you know, just not. And it's just like you've probably failed at your life, and now you're bitter. And it's all these people that comment and say nasty things. They are bitter and angry people because they have never done anything with their life, and they, you know, they've probably never even worked for anything. They see these people and they think it's so easy for everyone else and all these celebrities.
And they don't realise.
We go through stuff, you know, we're normal people. We're like,
I guess the thing is like...
me, like, I'm a normal person, guys. Please treat me the same. I'm like
But
Kim
no, it
Kardashian.
is like... It is an invasion of your privacy. You know, I've been there before when paps have turned up outside your door, and, you know, there must be times when things get sent to the press and you think, like, who is that saying that? And there's so many things that you have to deal with, as well as then now you've got this ADHD thing, and it's like just... It's all pressure, isn't it? And I think for every single person, you know, with Mia and starting her brand and then trying to just, you know, navigate this ADHD thing, is there like any specific thing which you would say to somebody that was trying to deal with pressure or trying to deal with their mental health or trying to deal with, you know, trolls or bullies? What is like your one key bit of advice for someone that is going through this?
Honestly, I mean, my advice is quite lame, but I just sort of think, just like realize that these people are not happy people either. If you have to sit there and comment on somebody else's appearance or what they're doing in life, it's just a very sad thing. And you just have to remember, like, these people don't know you. They've never met you. They will never know you, and they don't know like how good of a person you are. It doesn't matter, you know, what you... These people, they always comment on like looks and stuff. I'm like, so what? Maybe they're a great person.
And even like with the bullies in school, or, you know, some people, you know, going through domestic abuse and things like this, I think that person who is attacking that person is
very
unhappy.
Yeah, very, very
So that's
unhappy.
your advice, is to remember that.
You just have to remember that these people are going through something too. Obviously, you don't have to sympathise with them, but you just can remember, okay, there's obviously something going on with their life that they're
it's not
very,
me,
very unhappy
it's
about.
you.
It's not me, it's you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just think that, and you know, they don't know you, they've never spent time with you, they don't know if you're an amazing person or if you're whatever. So, you know, just go off that.
Yeah. So let's finish off. It's been really good talking to you. Like, I think it's really great. And maybe after this, if anyone has any questions about anything ADHD or any questions to either of you, we could get together again and answer questions.
Maybe we could get together like
a little Zoom or an Insta Live, and we'll do that. So any questions, send them into And Together. And let's finish off with a little quick fire round. We'll do we'll do one question at a time. We'll start with Lottie and then Mia. Ready? Okay. So 3 things that you're grateful for right now.
My family, my friends, and my health.
Mia?
Nice.
Don't copy mine now.
Yeah.
She's like a good one.
No, definitely health. My home, and just obviously you've got to say your family. Yeah, gotta say them. They'll be ringing me up otherwise.
That it's just like good friends, good family.
That's what you need in life. And if you don't have support, then
reach out to someone and get it.
Especially you guys, like, you did such a good job. Like, I'm so proud of you as well. Just to like.
So, second fire round question.
Cool. Okay, let's go.
What is a quote that you live by?
What's meant to be will be.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. Yeah, I think everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
I think don't come down on yourself too much, because everything does happen for a reason.
Of course, and it actually always works
out
will
figure out
for the best.
Yeah, definitely.
If you think you're having a really like hard day, like and everything's crashing down and it's all coming at you at once, because it always ends up being at the same time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just remember, like, maybe take that day off and just
There's always someone there.
go on a nice walk, go and meet your friends, call someone up, and then the next day's a new day. Start fresh.
Great. And third question. Okay, what advice would you give to a 10-year-old Lottie Moss?
Oh my God. Be careful. Stop doing what you're doing already. No. I think, do you know what? I think I would just give her advice just to sort of be careful with her friends and stuff like that. I've had a lot of like bad experiences with friends, and just sort of, I wish I could go back and just sort of say to myself, like, remember who your friends are. Do you know what I mean? Just like keep good people around you, because I think I've been in some bad places, and I think that's when you surround yourself with really negative people. And, you know, like now I kind of, after lockdown, have found my friends again and have realised like who I want to be and where I want to be and the people I want to be around with. So
yeah, like kind of like don't trust too many people. Don't let too many people into your circle. Like always have that barrier of like
always have your wits about yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I think sometimes you can lose yourself by going into the cool group, or like trying to be like
someone that you're not.
Always be true to yourself. Like
100%.
You'll find like better friends, and like you'll find that people understand you better than like trying to keep up with someone that
maybe
also you like friends that you were in school with might fade out. I mean, I'm still friends with all my friends in school, like, but then I've met new friends who might get me more, and then
it's just about keeping a good friendship
circle around.
Sometimes if you're in a toxic group, then it can be.
If you surround yourself with good people and good
you'll do good
energy
things.
and good things, you'll do good things, and you will thrive.
Yeah.
So just a last bonus question: what does And Together mean to you, and why did you choose to support this brand?
I think for me, I'm just like, I want to get more involved with mental health, and I think it's really important to do that now. I've always wanted to, but I think now, you know, I'm taking my medication and stuff, I can focus on things more, and I just kind of want to be a voice. I have a big platform and quite a few followers, and I think people need to be more up to date with things. Yeah.
And Together for me is obviously my best friend's
Oh,
brand.
Thanks.
And I'm just like super proud of like what it's going to become. So definitely give it a follow, and just kind of like we can all work together. And
what's the @
And Together _
and just help people. Like obviously we've talked today about like ADHD and how we feel, and we've got probably a lot more to discover, because we are not cured and we don't know everything. So we'd love to like hear from other people, and like maybe
definitely give us feedback on the Instagram page.
Yeah, definitely. So maybe after this airs, we'll send any questions you have to Lottie or Mia about ADHD, or any just general questions, into the Instagram, and maybe we'll do a Q&A on Instagram one day.
Yeah,
Great guys, well it's so good to have you in.
Thank
Thank you. Woohoo!
Love you.
Thanks.